Hello, my name is Tom, and I will be demoing my programming contest site for you. So before I begin, let me just say that for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll be using an account that can act as a judge in a team, and so that's why you see some confusing things up here in the nav bar. Is I'm actually displaying the nav for both so that I can navigate as both. So with that out of the way, let's begin. So I'll start by going to the problems, and you can see a list of the problems here. So let me attempt Hello World. And here you can see now we're on the problem detail page, and Hello World's a very simple problem, so we don't have very much information about it. A very short description, no information, there's no input, and there's no output. So I already have a prepared solution here in Python. Just print hello world and print something to the standard error as well. So let's go and we'll choose that solution and we will submit it. And you can see now that the dialog for submission has changed. You have a pending problem now, so you're not allowed to submit another one until the current one has been graded. And we also keep track of the previous submissions here. So we can see that we submitted one that's current status is pending 0 minutes ago. So now let's assume the role of judge, and we'll jump over into the grading panel. So this panel is where judges would spend most of their times. Here on the left is a list of all the problems that are pending grading by judges. So right now there's only one, my submission for Hello World. So the information for the selected one is displayed here on the right. So we can see the problem that is being graded, as well as the team that submitted it. And next, here comes the grading suggestion. And so before these appear in the column, the computer goes and kind of does some pre-grading for you. It compiles the solution, it runs the solution with the proper input, and it records all this information, which then you are just able to easily peruse here in the site. So out of that information available to you is the output of the program. So we can see here that our program put out Hello World, as well as the time that it took to run the solution, the command that it was used to run the solution, as well as the standard into the process and the standard error coming out of the process. And so these are all kind of diagnostic things, but the main things that are really going to help you grade are up here at the top: the standard out and the diff and the expected output. So we can see that the standard out matches the expected output, which is why we don't have any diff right now. In a second, I'll submit one where we will be able to see the diff, and you'll be able to see how it easily helps you judge what's wrong with a problem. So this one seems correct to me, so I'll go up to the top, and I can use these buttons here to submit whether I want to grade it as correct or incorrect. So I'll grade it as correct. And now, as a team, we can go back and see on the problem list page, that very clearly that we've solved this problem and that it was correct. And so if we go look at the problem now, we're still able to read information about the problem, but we can't submit anymore, and we can see that we've solved it and when we solved it. So let's go on and do another problem. So let's try foreign shoes, the hardest problem. So we can click here and see that it has a much bigger description, as well as a description for its input and its output. So this site has support for three modes of input. Mode 1 is no input, mode 2 is input provided via standard in, and mode 3 is input via file. So foreign shoes here is actually an input via file problem. And so we can see here that we have the example input and output, and this shows what it is. And then for the convenience of the team, we can click and just really quickly download the data file, and it's just going to contain this information right here so that they can use it in their program. And this isn't what's used to grade. This is just one they can use to test. So I have a submission written up already for foreign shoes here. And it's not correct. I'll just say that. But that is my intention. So we'll submit it. And we'll go grade it now. And you can see here's where the diff, is really going to come in handy. So we can see the grading suggestion was no, it's not correct. And we can see, why it wasn't correct here. So the lines that begin with minuses was the expected output, and the lines that begin with pluses was the actual standard out. So we can see here that, that it expected women US 9, men UK 9, men US 11, and what we actually received was women US 5, men UK 11, and men US 9. And so it's really easy just here, looking at all this information that's provided to you, to make the call about whether the problem is correct or not. In this case, it's cut and dry. They printed out all 3 lines with the wrong numbers. So we're going to say, it was incorrect. So, I'm the team, and you can see here, it was incorrect. So we can go and submit again and, change your solution, try to make it better, but I'm just going to submit it again and get it wrong again. There. And I'll go grade it again, and it's still wrong. So I'll say it's wrong. But here's where the difference is now. So if I go back to the problems page, you can see that foreign shoes has turned bright red. And the reason it's done that is because I've actually failed the problem. I've done too many submissions for the problem, and it's been decided, there's an algorithm that decides, that can be configured to say, you failed the problem, you can't do it anymore, and that can be configured, via point deduction until there's no points left, or a certain amount of tries, really, however you want the competition to work. But with the main point being here, I can't submit anymore, and it's clearly indicated here that I can't submit anymore. So, dang it, I can't submit anymore. So I guess I could try add 2 numbers, but first, let's check and see how teams are doing. We'll go to the scoring page. So I'm the only team, but the information is the same for every row. So you can see that I'm rank 1, the team's name, as well as the score, and when their last submission was. This is the time it was submitted, and this is actually the minutes ago. It should actually say minutes ago afterward. I'll be fixing that. This is all the first 4 columns are fairly standard information, but let me explain this 5th column, progress. So the progress column will show how many, in a really simple, easy visual way, how many problems the team has completed, how many they still could attempt, as well as how many they failed. So it doesn't actually indicate here whether they've attempted unless they've explicitly failed it. I wouldn't want to give too much information away to the other teams. But where this could be useful is, for instance, imagine that I had solved, my bar was full basically, there was no black left. A team could look at that and say, there's no more problems for him to try. He's done. Like, that's his final score. There's nothing he can do anymore. And so, that could be motivation too. Or could motivate the team to do a specific problem. For instance, instead of, maybe they're in rank 2 and they're trying to beat you out and they only need 2 points to do it. If they know that you're not able to attempt anymore, they can just go do a really easy 2-pointer instead of saying, thinking that I'll still be working, and therefore then trying to go and solve a really hard one to stay ahead of me. So it really, it's going to give the team a little bit more information about which problems they should be doing. So let's do another problem. We'll just do the whole competition. So go back to the problem page and let's do add two numbers. So, you know, this one's extremely simple as well. Two numbers per line, just add them together and print one out per line, print the sum. But you can see here, this data is actually provided via standard in here. It's not a file. So I've written a solution for that already. And you can see here, it's in Python. You can see here that it's receiving the information from standard in versus this one was reading it from the foreignshoes.data file. And then I just print them out. This is actually correct, so I'll just submit it. And then we'll go grade it. And oh, it's correct, you know. So we'll judge it as correct. And you can see here, you know, the scoreboard is updated. And this is what I was talking about, you know, is if you're at this point and another team sees that you have no more problems you can try, you know, that's really going to tell them something. So for all of my problems that I showed here, or my solutions, I used Python, but I actually designed this website so that it can use a variety, or that teams can submit in a variety of languages. So I'll show you kind of how that works now on the surface. So if we go to the admin panel for the site, we can go to compilers. And then you can see here I have two compilers, Java and Python. So, you know, we can look at Python and see that it's Python and the extension is py. And so that's actually how the site knows which compiler to run it with, is when the file is submitted and it grabs the file to go do to run the solution. It looks at the extension and then it looks for a matching compiler. And then it indicated whether the language is compiled or not, as well as what the command would be to compile, as well as what the command is to run it. And so there's a little bit of templating going on here, if you're familiar with templating. So I just have a few templates set up. We've got full name, file name, directory, and base name. And so right here, you know, it's just Python and then the full name, and that's the directory plus the file name. And that's, you know, just kind of lets it know how to template the command to run it. So then we can go look at the Java one is different. It is a compiled language, has a different extension, and the compile command is javac with the file's name. And then the run command is actually Java with the base name. And so what the base name is for instance, if the file name was test.java, the base name is just test. And so, you know, having these different templates allows me to configure this to use a variety of different languages. So those are the basic features of the site. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.